But over towards Avera, Bird, Sand Hill, these are those areas right now that are currently under the gun of potentially seeing a tornado. So make sure that you're getting into that safe place, interior room, away from windows. And just based on the severe winds, you can tell we have that tight couplet that's now working its way into the westernmost portion of Greene County in Mississippi. This storm, again, like all the storms that we have seen so far this afternoon and now this evening, are moving pretty quickly to the northeast, right around 45 miles per hour. Do not try to go outside and see this storm. Actually, since we just got that new radar scan in, I want to put a new storm track on it just to get a little bit better data right here. But this is going to be, again, working its way between Bird and Avera, again, moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. So in Avera, the next 7 minutes, this is going to be moving towards you. And within the next 17 minutes, we'll be moving up towards Clark, kind of on the northeastern extent of this warning. So this is now the third tornado warning that we've seen across the NBC 15 area. And this definitely looks like a classic supercell. When you look at the radar here, I'll actually draw where you can see the winds coming around like this and the winds coming into the storm like that. That's where our rotation currently is, and this is just going to be to the west of Bird. But if you're in Bird, up towards Avera, and up towards Bothwell, if you are in these areas, seek shelter now. This is going to be crossing Highway 63 within the next 5 minutes or so. So get into that safe place now. I'm going to go ahead and just go down to the street level because it does look like we have quite a few roads in this particular area that this storm could move over. So over towards Ranch Road on the western side of Bird, we also have Pleasant Hill Road. This looks like one of the major roads over there. We also have, looks like, 100 Acre Road. In that area, get into your safe place. And then you got some more of these side streets right here, likely some residential roads where you have, looks like Dwayne Smith Road. Let me go ahead and move off to the northeast. And if you live on these roads, you need to be getting into that safe place, seek shelter, interior room, away from windows, lowest level of your home. And if you're going into a closet or even a bathroom, maybe take a helmet and some pillows with you. That way you can also protect your head. So we have this tornado warning. This is going to continue now until 5:30 this evening, and I'll check in the next couple of minutes with the National Weather Service in Mobile to see if there are any new updates. But again, this has that look of a supercell where you can even see that little notch right there that's now moving into the western portion of Greene County, moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour and moving up towards Avera. Please, again, do not try to go outside and see the storm. Chances are you won't be able to see it. Based on the trajectory of the storm moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour, you can see a lot of heavy rain out in front of this, and the storm is also at least capable of producing some hail. Most of the storms today have had the indication that it's likely producing hail less than an inch, but could still, again, be producing some hail, and that could be the case here. On the storm relative velocity, we're still looking at that storm producing some rotation, and on the wind shear, it's still quite strong as you go down towards Avera. Again, this is going to be moving over Pleasant Hill Road. The rotation detector still showing strong wind shear within this particular storm, but on that most recent scan, on the storm relative velocity, just showing us the winds, it's not quite as strong of a couplet, which hopefully signifies that this storm is not producing a tornado, at least at this particular moment, because as we expand, you can see when that tornado warning was issued, those reds and green came together pretty quickly, and now they're not quite as strong. Now, one thing I do want to note is that we are sampling a decent bit away from the radar. We're using the National Weather Service radar in Mobile, so we're not able to really see all the way down to the surface. So even though it might not look that impressive on radar, that doesn't necessarily mean that this storm isn't capable of producing a tornado. And you can see just a short while ago, the polygon was actually changed just slightly, and that's because the National Weather Service updated, again, still at 5:30, but for those that are just to the west of Greene County, the risk of seeing a tornado in that area, that has since come to an end. So for those of you now up towards Bothwell, Sand Hill, Avera, and now to the northern edge of Bird, you need to be getting into that safe place as the storm continues to quickly move to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. And go put back on the storm relative velocity. And again, if we're going to be talking about and seeing that rotation, it looks like that this is going to work its way more or less right over Avera as it moves to the northeast around 45 miles per hour. And those areas of brighter red, those would indicate winds that could be on the magnitude of maybe around 60 to 70 miles per hour by themselves. So even if this storm isn't producing a tornado, this is likely producing some pretty strong winds. It doesn't matter what form the winds come in. If they're strong enough, they can produce some damage. And based on where the rotation currently is, this is likely, if it is producing a tornado, a rain-wrapped storm. You will not be able to see this coming. Make sure that you're seeking shelter. Now, as we look a little bit further to the north, I still wanted to kind of touch base on this storm that we're seeing in northern Clark County. That was the storm that prompted the tornado warning in Washington County. That tornado warning was allowed to expire, and as of right now, that is definitely below severe limits, but we're still watching some of these storms over in southeast Mississippi, just to the west of our area, and as they move into the NBC 15 area, they will be capable of producing isolated spin-up tornadoes, as again, most of the NBC 15 area outside of northwest Florida currently in a tornado watch until 10 o'clock tonight. But even after that point, as the cold front moves through tonight, there will be that potential that we could see severe storms even east of I-65 later on. Tornado warning until 5:30. Let's go ahead and go back to the storm relative velocity and see what we're looking at here. So on the last couple of scans, I'd say this is more positive than not. We're not seeing as tight of a couplet at this point, which would signify maybe this storm is weakening. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that that's the case. But still, for those of you in Avera, you still need to be getting into that safe place. But that also plays out here on the rotation detector. Just a short while ago, we were talking about how the wind shear was indicated strong. Now, it's still quite strong, but it's not as much so compared to just a little while ago. So both of those positive signs, but these storms that develop today could be producing these storms pretty quickly. They fade away, and then they spin back up, and they produce a tornado once again. So again, this tornado warning goes until 5:30. This was issued just a short while ago. Let me check with the National Weather Service to see if there are any updates here. It doesn't look like there have been any new updates, but if we see this continue on this trend, then there is a chance that we could potentially see this tornado warning canceled a little bit early on. And you can see over towards Avera, you still have the reds and greens coming together. They're just not quite as strong compared to just a short while ago. Again, hopefully that being good news here. But then on that most recent scan on the rotation detector, just as quickly as it goes away, you can see it's coming up strong once again, which again indicates that maybe this storm is spinning up really quickly and fading away. And maybe that notch right there, just to the north of Byrd, could be producing a spin up. So that area, again, needs to be in your safe place. I don't want this to lead you to say that you don't need to take this seriously. Again, this is a tornado warning. Anytime there's a tornado warning for your area, you need to be getting into that safe place, interior room, away from windows. The time is currently 5:14. So let's go back down to street level and call out some of these streets. It looks like that's going to be Neely Avera Road. And then as you make your way a little bit further to the east, you have Mutual Rights Loop. Anybody in these areas, you need to be getting into that safe place as well. Let's go ahead and move off to the northeast a little bit. You got Avera Road on some of these areas. Again, Avera Road, this is all going to be in the western part of Greene County in Mississippi. Again, this is going to be on the western edge of the NBC 15 area. So Avera, get into that safe place right along Highway 63. And again, on that most recent scan right there, if that's where we're going to be seeing that rotation, you can see it quickly moving off to the northeast, right around 45 miles per hour. And put a new track on it since we have some new radar scans in. Within the next 13 minutes, we'll be moving over towards Carson City. Within the next 23 minutes, we'll be moving over towards Kittrell. So let me go ahead and get all this off of here. We'll check back with that storm here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the NBC 15 area currently. So as mentioned, most of us currently in a tornado watch. You can see every area highlighted in yellow. That's where that tornado watch currently is for most of our counties outside of Jackson County, Mississippi. This continues through 10 o'clock tonight. For those of you in northwest Florida, the risk of severe weather right now is relatively low, but as we go into tonight and into the overnight hours, as the cold front that's driving everything moves in, you're even under the potential of seeing severe weather, as there's a level 2 slight risk, meaning scattered severe storms are going to be a possibility. Now let me go ahead and go back to this storm in Greene County in Mississippi. And on the radar presentation, again, doesn't look like it's quite as strong compared to earlier. Storm relative velocity, we're still looking at that couplet right there. That's going to be moving over Highway 63 currently. Go back to the shear marker and see what we're seeing, and that's exactly what the radar is picking up on. Right around Avera Road. Get into that safe place right now. So this storm, again, has that potential of producing a tornado. This is still a radar-indicated tornado warning. If you were to see this polygon go purple, that would indicate a radar confirmed from the National Weather Service. It's been just a little while now. It's been about 10 minutes and still haven't seen a new update from the National Weather Service. So it does look like they are going to be sticking with this, at least as of right now. But on that last radar scan with that high rotation detector right here, that's right over Vera Road on the southern side of Vera, you need to be getting into that safe place right now. And you can see it right here on the severe winds where the reds and greens are coming together. If this is producing a tornado, this is currently working its way over Highway 63. Currently, you can see all the lightning ahead of this storm, and this is going to be moving up towards Carson City and over towards Old Devera within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Again, this tornado warning is going to continue until 5:30, and this is eventually going to be working its way up towards Highway 42. But for those of you that are now between Highway 63 and up towards Highway 42 in the northern extent of Greene County, Mississippi, those are going to be the spots that you need to be getting into that safe place. And I'm going to say it time and time again today if we continue to have these tornado warnings. But your tornado shelter is going to be that interior room away from windows on the lowest floor of your home. You put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And also make sure that you're going inside of a sturdy structure as well. If you're still downstream of this particular storm, you still got a little bit of time before it gets to you, but again, you want to make sure that you identify it. So if you're up towards Kittrell and up towards Knobtown, now is going to be the time where you're trying to identify where that safe place is. For those of you in Vera, you need to be in your safe place currently, but if you're closer to the Perry and Greene County line, the risk of you seeing a tornado is now come to an end for you. So as the storm continues to move quickly to the northeast, some areas start to be more under the gun for a tornado while it begins to clear for some other spots. And you still got that comma shape right there. So this is still a supercell storm that's capable of producing a tornado. Tornado warning continues until 5:30. So I'm going to go back to our home view and talk about what else is happening across the NBC 15 area. Along the I-10 corridor, things are still relatively quiet. It's still warm, it's still breezy out there, but we have one of those kind of environments where storms are going to be capable of producing strong winds and then isolated tornadoes as well. I'm going to go to the national view, and maybe we can get an even better perspective of what's to come. So we have these showers and thunderstorms that are developing ahead of this main line to our west. This main line to our west currently is the cold front. That cold front will be arriving as we go from tonight into the overnight hours. So again, that's why I mentioned for those of you in Northwest Florida, even though you don't have a tornado watch currently on top of you at this point, as this front moves from west to east as we move into the overnight hours, that's going to be our second round of potentially severe storms. And you can see some very heavy rain and even severe storms associated with that line. And all these showers and thunderstorms that develop ahead of this main line for this first round, they are going to be the ones that have the highest probability of producing tornadoes and potentially damaging straight line winds. So let's go ahead and go back to the tornado warning in Greene County in Mississippi. The time is currently 5:19. We're coming up on 5:20. The tornado warning continues until 5:30. Until the threat of a tornado has ended, we'll continue to stay with this coverage. And I'll check in just one moment from the National Weather Service in Mobile. I'm keeping a close eye on their discussion of seeing if they're changing anything. We still have some rotation that's now moving east of Avera for those of you along and west of Highway 63. Your risk of seeing a tornado looks like it has come to an end. That also goes for those of you that are going to be in the Sand Hill and Bothwell area. And again, that's going to be west of Highway 63. On that most recent scan, that's good news. Doesn't look like the rotation is quite as strong. So we'll stay with it for another couple of scans to make sure that it stays that way. But you still have this comma shape with the storm. So even if we're not seeing it produce a tornado, we're still seeing at least some rotation within this storm. So let me go ahead and move off a screen really quickly. And it looks like the National Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning for Greene County, Mississippi. So as we were talking about, it looks like that threat has since come to an end. And as of right now, no tornado warnings across the NBC 15 area. So I'm going to go ahead and ask my producer here what we plan on doing next, because I believe that we still have about 5 minutes left in the show. So again, as of right now, no tornado warnings. If we see any more tornado warnings, you'll see us back here on NBC 15 News. But we're going to go ahead and send it to commercial break, and we'll be right back with our 5 o'clock newscast in just a moment. Stay with us.
All right, now Mason Ferry Road is in the Mason Ferry Road is in the Wilmer community, for those of you who didn't know the area. Now, we have another big story tonight. That's cold red weather. We're going to go right to Chief Meteorologist Thomas Gieboy with the latest. Thomas?
Yeah, and Kim, we were tracking a severe thunderstorm warning in Washington County. I put on social media a little while ago that this does have the potential to produce a tornado, and the National Weather Service has gone ahead and issued a tornado warning. This is going to continue until 6:45. So this is actually in a very similar area compared to what we were talking about with a tornado warning earlier. But for those of you that are in the Vashai community, Bigby, Frankville, Bailey's Landing, now is the time that you need to be getting into your safe place now. So these storms are moving very quickly to the northeast, right around 45 miles per hour. So again, when the National Weather Service issued the severe thunderstorm warning, it had the tag on it that a tornado was also a possibility, but it looks like that rotation has come together just that little bit more, and we do have this storm that is capable of producing a tornado, and this might be one of the strongest signatures I've seen so far this afternoon and evening. The reds and greens are coming together very, very apparently here. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the query here, and you can just tell that even if this isn't producing a tornado, this is likely producing some very strong winds, because there's also a severe thunderstorm warning attached with it. Doesn't matter what form the winds come in. If the winds are strong enough, it can produce damage. So again, we do have this tornado warning, and based on the velocity product here, this has, again, does have that potential to produce a tornado. So we're using the radar service from the National Weather Service in Mobile. You have the greens with the winds going towards the radar, the reds, the winds going away from the radar, and you have that very well-defined couplet at this particular point, and it's continuing to move to the northeast, and you can see those areas of bright red and bright green. When you see those colors get brighter and brighter, that tells us that the radar is sampling stronger and stronger winds, and this is getting ready to move over Bigby. If you're in Bigby, you need to be getting in your safe place now. That's going to be in your interior room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, lowest floor of your home, and make sure that you're inside of a sturdy structure as well. So if you're just to the east of Bigby, now is the time that you need to be getting ready to move to your safe place. That's going to include Frankville, Bailey's Landing, and over towards Mays Crossroads. And I talked about it just a second ago. This is actually in a very similar spot compared to a tornado warning that we saw earlier this afternoon. All these storms moving pretty quickly to the northeast, around 30 to 45 miles per hour. So within the next 3 minutes, this is going to move over the heart of Bigby. Within the next 5 minutes, we'll be moving over Frankville. Within the next 20 minutes will be moving over towards Wynn, and then within the next 20 minutes over McIntyre. This tornado warning is actually pretty long when it comes to its length, even goes into portions of Grove Hill, Fulton, and Thomasville. I will say for those of you in Thomasville, Fulton, and Grove Hill, you don't need to get to your safe place as of right now, but you need to identify where that safe place is in case this storm does hold together and make it cross the Tombigbee River and move in your direction. So anywhere along the Highway 43 corridor, you need to start identifying where that safe place is and know where you're going to go if the storm does indeed hold together. But as we zoom things back in here, you can just see just south of Vashai and over towards Bigby, you almost have this bit of a donut hole right here. And that's indicating from the radar you have winds going around the storm and then winds flowing into the storm. This is getting ready to move into Bigby as we speak. Over towards Silver Cross, Frankville, all these areas be getting to your safe place now, and that's going to be, again, your interior room. So we'll go ahead and zoom things into street level. If I say any of these streets, these are going to be those spots that especially need to be in that safe place. So if you're living in this area, again, get into that safe location. But if you know of anybody that lives in this area, give them a call, let them know that they're under the potential of seeing a tornado. This is going to be right around County Road 31. This is going to be in the Frankville community. Then as we go over towards, it looks like that's going to be Peavy's Landing Road, and you got some of these side streets right here. It looks like some of these residential streets that you'll also want to be getting into that safe place. This is going to be Shop Road, Howard Lane, and again up towards Howard Lane, and this is going to be over towards Peavy's Landing. Again, this Peavy's Landing, and this is going to be Mount Bethel Church Road. So in these areas especially, again, be getting into that safe place. Even if these sound familiar and you live close to these areas, you want to be getting into that safe place. It looks like this rotation coming around back here over towards Bigby. Go ahead and put on the storm relative velocity. That way we just have that better indication. And that's some of the strongest rotation I think I've seen so far today. You're getting these bright reds almost becoming pink colors. And that indicates, at the very least, some very strong winds. Winds that being sampled with the radar right there, 34 miles per hour. Let's see if I can find another one. And then there you go, one pointing out 92 miles per hour. So let me go clear that and let's make sure that's not just an error that we're picking up right there. 92 miles per hour, 93 miles per hour. Now, again, we are sampling up a little bit higher in the atmosphere because this is away from the National Weather Service site in Mobile. But anytime you see something like that, we could still be easily seeing 60 to 70 mile per hour winds down at the surface. And as I mentioned before, it doesn't matter what form the winds come in. If they're strong enough, they can produce damage. And what street is this currently moving over? Because again, this is going to be moving over a street as we currently speak. And it looks like this might be one of those county roads, one of those dirt roads, and we'll hope that's the case. But this looks like that's Listus Cone Road in that area. This is going to be just to the north, or just to the just to the northwest of Bigby, working its way towards Frankville. And there's the latest scan right there. Now moving on the north side of Bigby, just to the west of County Road 31, now going to be approaching Frankville. So for those of you in the Frankville community, more or less between Frankville and Silver Cross, those are going to be those spots where I want you to be getting into that safe place, interior room, away from windows. And this is also going to be working its way over towards Bailey's Landing and Tattlesville. And I know we talked to just a little while ago, earlier this afternoon, these same places were under the gun for another storm that was capable of producing a tornado. We go back to the base reflectivity and see what that latest scan looks like, and you can definitely tell that this is a supercell storm where you can tell that the winds are coming around the backside like this and moving in currently right around Bigby. It looks like this is going to be on the northern edge of Bigby and the next minute or two. And again, the radar lags behind slightly, so it's likely moving over Bigby, moving towards Frankville as we speak. And on the wind shear, you can see that strongest wind shear on the rotation detector being picked up very clearly on this scan right here. When it comes to hail, this storm also might be producing some hail. This is the first time on the hail tracker today that I've seen it producing some hail. So this, at the very least, again, is a very strong storm. Do not take this lightly. This storm is capable of producing a tornado. Radar indicated. It's because if we see this polygon go from red to purple, that means a radar confirmed. But at the very least, again, winds of 60 mile per hour plus a possibility with the storm, and it does look like it is indeed producing some hail. Let me go over to the debris tracker. I'm going to play this back over the last 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll see if there's been any indications from the radar that it might be producing some debris. And at this point, not really seeing too much in the way of the changing colors, so hopefully that means it's not producing any damage at this particular point. But on the radar presentation itself, this storm, again, has all the makings of a storm that is capable of producing a tornado. And you can see it just on the severe winds where the reds and greens are coming together. I'm going to step out of the screen just really quickly, and I'm going to check with the National Weather Service to see if there have been any new updates. But that couplet is still very strong right there, and they're going to continue this tornado warning until the duration as of right now. The time is currently 6:10. It looks like intense rotation with the cell that will be approaching Frankville and northeastern Washington County over the next few minutes. And the latest update from the National Weather Service, we were talking about the hail. This could produce $quarter to $half sized hail, and that could definitely produce damage. At the very least, again, if you're in the path of this storm, you want to be seeking shelter immediately. On its current movement, it looks like it will cross Highway 69 in Clark County, just south of Coffeyville, but it might be close. So on the southern side of Coffeyville, you especially need to be getting in that safe place. And we're still seeing that strong rotation. And from the National Weather Service, intense rotation. And again, this is the strongest, I would say, signature that I think I have seen so far today. And this is currently moving over Frankville. If you're in Frankville, you need to be hunkered down now. In Bailey's Landing, you need to be getting into that safe place, interior room away from windows. Let's go ahead and go down to some of these streets, and it looks like that's going to be Hatchet-Higbee Road. This is going to be close to the Tombigbee River, so we're getting close to the Tombigbee River between Bailey's Landing, so between Washington County and Clark County, and we still have that very well-defined couplet that's currently moving over Frankville as we speak. For those of you that are further to the west, say around Yarbough and Carpenter, the risk of you seeing a tornado has since come to an end, and this tornado warning does continue until 6:45. It looks like they also updated the severe thunderstorm warning. That polygon's changed a little bit, and the tornado warning still continues until 6:45. So let me check and see what the National Weather Service latest update continues right there. Again, tornado warning for the northern portion of Washington County, getting ready to move into Clark County. And it looks like they just kind of updated the severe thunderstorm warning along with it, because again, this storm also capable of producing over an inch-size hail and also strong winds upwards of 60 miles per hour. But on that latest scan right there, you could see these bright greens and those bright reds. That is indicating some very strong rotation. Again, some of the strongest I think I've seen so far, at least in our area today, picking up 74 miles per hour, picking up minus 50 miles per hour. Let's go over here, 69 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour. So again, at the very least, the storm is likely producing some very strong winds, and this is now in the process of approaching Bailey's Landing and on its current trajectory to the northeast right around 45 miles per hour. This is going to quickly be approaching Highway 69. So let's put a new storm track on it now that we have a couple of new scans, and again, moving to the northeast right around 45 miles per hour. So within the next 30 minutes, this is going to be moving towards Grove Hill. So we talked about it. For those of you along Highway 43, you're not currently under the gun for seeing a tornado, but the tornado warning does extend even out to you. So if you're in Fulton, up towards Thomasville, Grove Hill, you need to be identifying where that safe place is in case this storm does hold together. And based on what we're seeing, it looks like it has a good chance of holding together. In Taylorsville, 6 minutes, this is going to be moving towards you, and that also does include the southern extent of Coffeyville. So if you're in the southern extent of Coffeyville, make sure that you're getting into your safe place. And then within the next 20 minutes, we'll be moving towards Simcoe, and the next 20 minutes will also be moving towards Clarksville and up towards McIntyre. Please do not try to go outside and see this storm. You can just tell based on the severe winds and all the lightning strikes being picked up here by the radar that this storm is very strong, likely producing some very heavy rain, and with it moving to the northeast, chances are you're not going to be able to see this coming. Please do not try to go outside and see this storm. Just if you're in the path of this storm, make sure that you're seeking that shelter. And it looks like down towards County Road 31, that's where we're seeing a lot of that heaviest or that strongest signature. Let me go back and put on the debris tracker and see if we're picking up anything currently. And there are some changing of the colors right there. Let's go ahead and play this forward here for the last 15 minutes. And over towards Frankville, you can see that little dip in the color right there. That could be showing signs that we could be getting at least some debris from this storm. So what the radar is looking for is debris that's hurled into the air. Let me pause this. Let me draw on here to kind of help me. So we're walking through this all this live currently, so drawing that currently, and then let's go back to the radar and go back to the debris tracker. And if you can see those colors kind of in that same vicinity of where I drew that circle. So that could very well tell us that this storm might be producing at least some damage. And this is going to be towards Peavy's Landing Road on the southern side of Frankville. So again, I can't stress enough, if you're in this area, make sure that you're seeking shelter currently. And it looks like on that latest scan, not seeing as much. And the debris tracker also does a pretty good job of picking up some hail as well. And it looks like we could be definitely seeing some hail. And then you overlay the hail tracker right there where those different colors also are changing as the radar's looking at different things within the clouds. And up towards Taylorsville, just to the south of Coffeyville, you can see this swath of potential hail. And again, this could be up towards $250 size hail, which is enough in its own right to do damage crossing Highway 69 as we currently speak. So this storm capable of all modes of severe weather. Tornado, strong wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, and obviously the potential of producing tornado. So let's go ahead and go back to those severe winds. Let's go back to the storm relative velocity here. Looks like the colors right there got messed up for some reason. It's a different interesting scan. There we go. And we're still seeing over towards Bailey's Landing, we're still seeing that rotation couple. It's still rather significant, but maybe not quite as strong. We're going to hope that as this storm continues to move to the northeast, that this rotation kind of fades away as it moves east. But right over Bailey's Landing currently, you see all of those bright reds and even towards pink colors. Those indicate winds that are likely over 60 miles per hour at the surface, and that, again, could produce damage as the storm continues to move to the northeast. And if this is producing a tornado based on the current presentation of the supercell, then it's likely rain-wrapped. You're not going to be able to see it coming. So let me go ahead and expand the view and kind of take stock of where we are at currently. The time is currently 6:16. We are supposed to be in NBC 15 News at 6 o'clock, but of course we have this tornado warning that's now getting ready to cross the Tombigbee River and work its way into Clark County. Across the rest of the NBC 15 area, things are actually relatively quiet outside of our Mississippi communities. But you can see showers and thunderstorms to our west, and even a couple of tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. This is all part of the first wave of storms that we're seeing out there currently. We do have a tornado watch until 10 o'clock for most spots outside of northwest Florida, but as we move from tonight into the overnight, the cold front driving this line of storms will move in. So for even areas east of I-65, as we move into tonight, there will be that risk that we could see severe storms there. That is why we're going code red, to make sure that you're aware that as we move into tonight, there will be that potential that that severe weather could impact your neighborhood as well. So let's go ahead and go back to our our tornado warning. And that's going to be over towards Bailey's Landing. We're still seeing that tight couplet, which would indicate that the storm's still very well capable of producing a tornado. Let's see, I'm checking with the National Weather Service in Mobile. Haven't given an update in the last 10 minutes, so it looks like they're going to continue with this warning, at least for now. But we're going to hopefully see over the next couple of scans that this rotation not going to be quite as strong, because as I look back at the last 15 minutes, you can see that those scans coming together quite quickly and then kind of fading away in that last one. But here's the latest scan, and you're still seeing those reds and greens still coming together. This is going to cross to the south of Coffeyville. This is going to move over towards Tattersville. If you're in Tattersville towards Highway 69 and Highway 84, anyone in that area needs to be seeking shelter immediately as this storm continues to work its way to the northeast, right around 40 to 45 miles per hour. For those of you that are in Clarksville and over towards Simcoe and even up towards Chilton, now is the time you want to be identifying where your safe place is, and within the next couple of minutes, you'll want to be getting into that safe place as well. That includes for those of you in McIntyre, and then for those of you along Highway 43, say between Grove Hill and up towards Thomasville. You also are going to want to quickly identify where that safe place is and get ready to move to it pretty quickly. Time is currently 6:18. This tornado warning continues until 6:45, and we also have a severe thunderstorm associated with this particular tornado warning. So let's go ahead and go down towards Tattersville and go down towards street level and tell you the spots that really need to be getting into that safe place. That's going to be Hodge Road. So this is going to be to the east of Highway 69. This is going to be over towards Reeves Road and Hodge Road. If you're in that area, seek shelter immediately. We go down to the south a little bit further, and it looks like we have Jordan Lane, and it looks like we have Dashown Road. So Jordan Lane, Dashown Road, and then up towards Tattersville. Those are going to be the spots under the most threat of seeing a tornado. But even outside of the threat of seeing a tornado, you can see how much these reds and greens extend down to the south. So in these areas, strong damaging straight line wind gusts of upwards of 60 miles per hour going to be a possibility. If you know of anybody that's traveling along Highway 84, say between Coffeyville and Clarksville right now, you need to give them a call and let them know that they need to be seeking shelter too. Because with the way and how fast this is moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour, this is moving close to highway speeds. So it is very important for anyone along Highway 84 here to start seeking shelter now from this storm, because it looks like this is going to kind of split the middle between Coffeyville and Clarksville. And of course, as we know, Highway 84, a very important highway, very frequently traveled highway as well. So between Coffeyville and Clarksville, there's going to be the threat that we could see a tornado move over that particular area. Right now, this is currently over Tattersville. If you're in that area, again, seek shelter from this storm. Let me go ahead and go down towards Highway 84 and see some of the roads that are just off of Highway 84 and get into the street level here. We have Wynn Road. So if you live along Wynn Road, get into that safe place, and you can just tell with the colors here on the map, these dark reds, we're still seeing some pretty gusty winds at this point. Let me go ahead and put on the just the base reflectivity, and we'll get a better perspective of what the storm is actually doing. So it looks like it's having a little bit of trouble right here. Sometimes technology doesn't always like to cooperate. So as we talked about, that storm, the center of circulation moving over Tattersville, but these areas that are in purple, just to the south of Coffeyville, and you can even start to see some black being picked up on our radar. That's likely that's likely some big hail that's being produced by this particular storm. So on the north side, you're probably talking about some hail that even now extends into Coffeyville, and also talking about heavy rain and gusty winds that might be on the magnitude of 60 miles per hour. Over towards Center Point Road, Norris Road, you can see it all in that area. We also have, looks like Reedy Hill Road. So all of these areas need to be getting into that safe place now. We have Wilson Circle, Can Road. You can definitely tell that we're becoming a little bit more residential on some of these streets. Let me go and zoom things in here. Got Sunset Road right along Highway 84. Anyone along Highway 84 at this point needs to be seeking shelter immediately, but you can just tell that this storm, at the very least, is a very strong storm, and there's that swath of hail that is being picked up by the radar here. So very, I'd say, big hail, at least for our stretch of the Gulf Coast, having that potential. We'll go ahead and go back to the shear marker, still seeing some very strong wind shear with the storm, back to the base reflectivity, and looks like we just got a new update in from the National Weather Service in Mobile, again, still continuing through 6:45. But now the risk of seeing a tornado in Washington County, at the very least, has come to an end. So for those of you in Washington County, it looks like the tornado risk has come to an end, but you're still included within that severe thunderstorm warning. So this is an update from the National Weather Service in Mobile. And again, I cannot stress the importance of getting into your safe place, especially along Highway 84. So this comes from a National Weather Service meteorologist. Likely a strong tornado on the ground between Coffeyville and Solidipa, crossing Highway 69 and approaching Highway 84 east of Coffeyville. Take cover immediately, as this is an extremely dangerous storm. And that, again, that comes in from the National Weather Service in Mobile. Those aren't even my words. But again, we've been talking about this. This storm, so far, has had the most impressive couplet that I have seen so far this afternoon. And for the National Weather Service to say likely a strong tornado on the ground getting ready to cross Highway 84 should tell you everything that you need to know. So again, make sure that you're getting into your safe place. This, again, is going to be crossing Highway 84 between Clarksville and Coffeyville. If you know of anybody out on Highway 84 right now, you need to give them a call. Let them know that they need to be seeking shelter from the storm. If you are about to get on the road between Coffeyville and also towards Clarksville, hold off on that. Wait till this storm passes. But again, we could be talking about a strong tornado that's currently on the ground that is working its way past Highway 69 and now moving over Highway 84. And there you go. There's the latest scan. And we've got these bright reds and greens coming together. This is moving over Highway 84 as we currently speak. Let me go ahead and expand this out. I'm going to go back to the radar, and I'm going to put on the debris tracker here and see if this storm is producing debris. It looks like back in Washington County, that might have been the case, and that's something that you don't like to see. That's on the debris tracker. You can see that those changing of the colors, and you can see them becoming lighter. That looks like that this storm could be producing debris over Highway 84. So for those of you on Highway 84, now up towards McIntyre, for those of you up towards McIntyre, you need to be getting into that safe place immediately. Time is of the essence here. Based on just what this storm looks like, it doesn't have that classic hook, but that doesn't mean it's not rotating. We've seen it here. Chances are you're not going to be able to see this coming. Please do not try to go outside and see the storm. Seek shelter immediately. This storm is now crossing Highway 84. For those of you along Highway 69, it looks like that risk of seeing a tornado is coming to an end, but you still want to be in your shelter, at least as of right now. But up towards McIntyre, these are the spots that you want to be seeking shelter immediately. So Highway 154, let me see, you got Norris Road. Let me go ahead and go back to the storm relative velocity. That way we can stay current with the current rotation here. And typically, these radar scans lag behind just a little bit. So we can project this forward maybe another 30 seconds because this storm, again, now is in the process of crossing Highway 84. On the next scan, it will likely be between Highway 84 and Highway 154 over towards McIntyre. If you're on the northern side of Clarksville, you need to be seeking shelter now too. So this is going to be Wilson Circle, Reedy Hill Road, Norris Road, all these spots along Highway 84. Please be seeking shelter right now. Let's go back to the base reflectivity and see what we're seeing. I mean, let me go ahead and put on the storm relative velocity here. If we're seeing a tornado being produced by this storm, it's likely going to be in this area right here, right around center point up towards McIntyre. And now as I put on the base reflectivity, you can just tell that you're not going to be able to see this. This doesn't have the classic hook that you would normally see with a supercell storm. This is more than likely going to be a rain-wrapped kind of event. So please do not try to go outside and see this storm. So again, I can't stress enough, if you're in the path of this storm, be seeking shelter immediately. I'm going to check with the National Weather Service to see if there are any new updates. Tornado ongoing and crossing Highway 84. This came in 1 minute ago. Tornadic debris signature is still present. So it looks like, just based on the radar itself, that this is going to be a radar-confirmed tornado. Center Point Road, Norris Road. If you're in these spots, seek shelter immediately. Over towards the community of McIntyre, seek shelter as well. And these purples are still being indicated by the radar, which means we're still likely seeing some hail being produced by this storm. If you're in Chilton, seek shelter now as well. Again, moving to the northeast, right around 45 miles per hour. So let me go ahead and put the storm relative velocity back on here, and that way we can check that couplet, and I'll put a new storm track on it to give you kind of an update for those of you along Highway 45, just how quickly it's going to be moving towards you. So again, moving to the northeast right around 40 to 45 miles per hour within the next couple of minutes. It's basically on top of McIntyre as we currently speak. In the next about 10 minutes, we'll be moving into Chilton. Within the next 18 minutes into Midway, and then you can start to see more spots like Thomasville within the next 20 to 25 minutes. If you're along Highway 43, please start to identify where that safe place is and get ready to move in that safe place just in case. And when I say your tornado shelter and your safe place, that's going to be an interior room away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Lowest floor of your home, and make sure that you're inside of a sturdy structure as well. And if you don't have that available to you, again, make sure that you try to find one, especially if you're along Highway 43. But if you're under the gun currently, as we've talked about, over towards McIntyre, you need to be in that safe place as we currently speak. And as you go into that interior room, maybe bring a helmet, some pillows, or even a mattress with you, as that way you can protect your head from the potential of seeing flying debris. So this is getting ready to move over Center Point Road. At this point, based on, since this scan has been with us for the last 30 seconds to a minute, it's probably now getting close to Highway 54. We'll wait on the latest scan here as this continues to move to the northeast. For those of you over towards Coffeyville and Tattlersville, that risk of seeing a tornado is now quickly coming to an end. You still want to be in your safe place, but for those of you in Washington County, you should be in the clear. You're good to go, even though we are still watching a couple of storms that are back to the west. And as you look over towards Highway 17, you even got a couple of storms that have the look that they could be producing some supercells. And then you can see a line of some stronger storms that are approaching from the west. So even though we're dealing with this particular tornado warning, we do have more storms on the way from the west. And this could be one of those evenings and nights where we see multiple severe thunderstorm warnings and maybe even some more tornado warnings, as most of the NBC 15 area continues to be in this tornado watch until 10 o'clock tonight. So on that most recent scan, doesn't look like it's quite as strong. So I'm hopeful. I'm going to hope that as it continues to move to the northeast, it starts to fade away a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, anywhere between McIntyre and Chilton needs to be into that safe place now. Let's see. From the National Weather Service, this came in less than 20 seconds ago. Strong tornado still ongoing and approaching Highway 154, Center Point Road areas, moving in the general direction of Thomasville if it holds together. So National Weather Service, again, still showing this is still likely a strong tornado. And I'll put back on the debris tracker, because that debris tracker is still very strong. Typically, again, when you have a storm, you can see these, I would say, purple and pink colors, which would indicate things being relatively normal. But when you see that drop in the colors to some cooler colors like these yellows and these blues, this is the radar more than likely signifying that this storm is producing damage. And this is right over McIntyre as we currently speak. So this could be a life-threatening situation. Please get into your safe place. Again, getting ready to cross Highway 154 over McIntyre. So in that spot, that's where that potential is going to be. And even though, again, the couplet here on the severe winds doesn't look like it's quite as strong, based on that debris tracker, this storm could very well be on the ground and producing damage. And you still have that strong wind shear still coming in around McIntyre. But the storm also is capable of producing some very heavy rain, and we've even seen that this storm is capable of producing some large hail, maybe on the magnitude of $quarter sized hail. So if this storm does hold together, even got a little bit of a donut effect right here over towards McIntyre, If you're up towards Midway and Thomasville, now is going to be the time that you want to start getting into your safe place, especially over towards Midway.